Hello and welcome to the movie podcast review of Where the Crawdads Sing. My name is Daniel, I'm one of your hosts today, and joining alongside me are my fellow crawdaddies, Anthony.
Hello.
And Shahbaz.
Hello.
Is that how a crawdad sings, Shahbaz?
You know what? We didn't really hear any crawdads sing in the movie, unless did we miss that moment? I can't remember.
I don't think they sing. I think it's just a saying, you know?
But why? Where does that saying come from?
Well, we learned it in the movie. We learned in the movie where the crawdads sing.
We know where they sing,
Yeah.
but we didn't hear how.
But we didn't hear how or why they sing.
That's my main question.
That's why do they sing?
Why do they sing?
Why do they sing?
And what song
indeed?
is it? What song would you sing if you were a crawdad?
Amazing Grace.
Oh,
Yeah, or WAP for sure.
WAP for
Yeah.
sure.
Same songs, interchangeable for me.
I would say that I would love to hear WAP in a church.
Play both at my funeral is what I'm asking for.
Well, when Anthony and I are done killing you, for
Yes,
sure.
you can.
Yeah.
You can. And we'll be on trial and we'll live out. This will be Where the Crawdads Sing Part 2. Part 2. Anthony, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well.
Shay, how are you doing today?
What did you call us in the beginning, by the way?
my fellow crawdaddies.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I just want
well,
to make sure.
I thought he was going to call us Marshmen.
No.
Marshmen.
Marshmallow Men?
Marshmallow Men or Man of the
Crawdaddies.
Marsh.
I'm
In the
down to be.
story, they call her Marsh Girl.
Marsh
Yeah.
Girl, yeah.
And I thought you were going to call us Marsh Men or Marsh Boys.
But then it sounds like, did you just call us Martians?
Yeah.
You know?
I prefer crawdaddies.
Crawdaddy sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
You could be like the North Carolina Crawdaddies. You know what I mean? That'll be like the new NHL expansion
the
team.
baseball team or the basketball team or
the new expansion
NHL.
team. Yeah. Shay, how are you doing though?
You know, I'm doing great. We just had a really good dinner, us three.
We did.
We went and had some all-you-can-eat sushi, and I'll be transparent when I say that I am stuffed still. But we did take some time to let that food digest.
We did, yeah. We are full of crawdaddies right now.
Do you guys digest food right away?
Well,
I'm like,
a couple of days at least.
again, we're getting pretty deep into the weeds here with our
are finding
internals
us
and
out
bowels,
right
but
now.
yeah, I feel like my body processes food pretty quickly.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know people who say, like, they'll eat something and then they'll all automatically feel like they have to go to the washroom because their body's about to digest it.
Right. No, but I wanna the money I just
how's
spend
that
on
possible?
food, I want to make sure it stays in me longer.
I feel like I'm average, like a good amount of time. Like
Yeah.
it settles in there, it
Sure.
gets to know my innards, and
Right.
then it leaves.
You said a couple of days?
No. I was making a joke.
Oh, okay, good.
A couple of days is too much, man. That's unfair.
I know, I would
That's
say
a crime.
You're
That's-
in pain.
That's cruel if it's a couple of days to digest food.
As always, you can catch a brand new episode of the Movie Podcast every single Monday. And watch out throughout the week for our review episodes and our interviews on all the latest movies and series. Make sure you follow us at The Movie Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Letterboxd. Make sure you leave us a 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Join our Discord and write into the show at hello@TheMoviePodcast.ca. We had a really cool experience this week. This week has been a lot of fun on the Movie Podcast. One, for why we were celebrating dinner, which we'll tell you about very soon on an episode of the show down the road.
Yes.
Which, and hate to tease you, but we will. But also, this week we got to check out the Friends Experience, which is at Yorkdale. It was created and it's being put on by a company called Superfly X, and we were super, super lucky to be able to visit. We had a great tour. Thank you, Alex, from Superfly, for bringing us all around. The Friends Experience is awesome, and I think if you are a diehard Friends fan, this is something you're going to want to check out. It's really, really cool. Shay, what do you think? I know you're probably one of the biggest Friends fans I know as well, too. What did you think of the experience?
Yeah, we're both definitely we love Friends. We talk about it all the time. I mean, I loved it. I thought it was a great experience. I think what I liked about it the most, though, was how authentic it was.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was accessible to people who are not even huge Friends fans, who just dabbled in Friends, who know the actors,
Right.
who have seen an episode. You can kind of get immersed in this place.
Yeah.
Again, it's at Yorkdale Shopping Center, but you forget you're in a mall while you're there.
Yeah, they do a great job, and it's that same thing when we were kind of going through it, that you feel like when you're in you're in a theme park, where you're in a Disney World or Universal, where they do such a good job of making the experience where you are, that illusion of this is where you are, this is what you're experiencing. And it was really fun. And I think the photo ops alone, you could see all the photos on our Instagram right now, so please, at the Movie Podcast, go check us out. You could see all of the fun that we had doing that and living the Friends life. Anthony, what did you think of it?
It was pretty cool. It brought me back to that time when I would watch Friends a lot, just growing up being that show. And it's just this museum that you see these iconic sets. You're in Joey and Chandler's apartment, you're at Monica's apartment, you're at the at the coffee shop. and there's the sequence where Ross and Rachel are trying to lift the sofa, and he's he's yelling pivot. Like, you get to experience all those things,
Yeah.
which is really, really cool, and it kind of like brings you back in time. It's very nostalgic.
Yes.
And that's the thing, right? Like, it's when you think of Friends, like it's those iconic moments, it's those iconic places, and you get to experience all of that. So I highly recommend. We'll probably be talking about it on a few shows, so definitely stay tuned for that, and go check out our socials. If you want to learn more about the Friends experience, I'm going to include the link in our show notes below. We're not sponsored or affiliated or anything with them. We just were really lucky to check out their media day. We had a really great time, and I know there's a lot of big Friends fans who listen to our show, so if you want to experience it, definitely check out our show notes. You could learn all about it, how you could get tickets, what it looks like, and be prepared to spend a lot of money at the gift shop, because there's a lot of things there that we wanted to leave with.
yeah.
Shay left with almost everything.
A lot of things.
Yeah, at one point they were like, "Sir, you can't buy all these things."
We tried to buy the coffee shop.
It's true. I'm like, "I'll take Ross's pants, please." His leather ones. They're like, "No."
Like, no, that's a part of the display. You can't do that. It's glued to the floor. Also, while you're on the movie podcast feed, make sure you check out all of the incredible episodes and reviews and interviews that we've had. We've had a lot of incredible special guests joining us on the show, including Paul Walter Hauser, Joseph Quinn, who you definitely fell in love with if you watched Stranger Things Season 4. We've had Hayden Christensen on the show, and also this week we dropped our reviews for The Gray Man. We had a brand new episode this week, too, that came out where we're talking about our top movies of the year.
So far.
So far. There's lots to look forward to. There's lots of great things that already happened on the movie podcast, so make sure you tune in for all of them. But today is all about Where the Crawdads Sing. This film is directed by Olivia Newman and stars Daisy Edgar-Jones. It is releasing in theaters on July 15th exclusively, and I want to say thank you to our friends at Sony Pictures Canada for inviting us to watch it. Shay is going to tell you what it's all about.
From the best-selling novel comes a captivating mystery, where the Crawdads Sing tells the story of Kaya, an abandoned girl who raised herself to adulthood in the dangerous marshlands of North Carolina. For years, rumors of the marsh girl haunted Barkley Cove, isolating the sharp and resilient Kaya from her community. Drawn to two young men from town, Kaya opens herself to a new and startling world, but when one of them is found dead, she is immediately cast by the community as the main suspect.
Ooh. Also, this film is, of course, like Shay said, based on the best-selling novel. This is a film that... this is a novel that I think has been at the top best-selling charts for weeks upon end at this point, and this film is produced by Reese Witherspoon and her company Hello Sunshine, and the author of that book is Delia Owens. Anthony, start us off with your first reactions for Where the Crawdads Sing.
So, getting into this movie, I knew it was a novel, but I never read it, or I didn't really knew it was this popular.
Yeah.
Until I saw the trailer, and a lot of people were talking about it, and Taylor Swift was behind the soundtrack or one of the songs
for it.
In the movie. So yeah, getting into it, I thought, this is interesting. This is a dynamic of a love story, but it's also intertwined with a mystery.
Yeah.
That's where the movie really connected with me, because I was like, oh, that's so different, because usually it's just this love story, and it's kind of like a Nicholas Sparks type of book where they translate it into a film where they always end up together, or they're separated and they come back. But this time it was a story really that focused on a murder that also had a love story around it. So it had the best of both worlds for people who are in this type of genre. So for me, I like the mystery part, and some other people might love the love story part. So they created this really interesting combination of the two, and I actually enjoyed. I don't want to say enjoyed it. I found the story fascinating, because it was a tale that was told in such a way that Kaya grows up on this marsh, and her family abandons her,
right,
and she's left to live on her own in this house, and no schooling, no
shoes,
family,
no shoes.
Also the 60s and 50s era,
and
right?
That part was fascinating. I'm like, holy shit, she has a house before I even have a house.
Yeah. Look at her. She has a view of the whole marsh.
I know. But yeah, the murder part really kind of connected.
Oh, there's also the murder part.
And the murder part that connects with me is because she is implicated in a murder that the whole town thinks she did because of her past being this marsh girl.
Yeah.
And it's the perception is that she's this person, and why wouldn't she have killed killed whoever
Yeah,
she killed.
she was
I don't
an
wanna
easy
spoil it.
target, you know?
She was definitely an easy target, but I thought like the story was interesting. There was a lot of like that no.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you reacting?
There's definitely some
gasps.
There's some gasp. There's some pearl clutching moments.
Yeah,
that
they were going for gasps.
We were going for gasp, and there were moments where we were like, "Wow, like that got me!" Like, and it's like it felt like something that when you were reading the book, you would have been like, "Oh no!"
I would have had my glass of wine in my hand. And
Yeah.
I would have
Yes.
thrown it
Thrown it.
That's a mess.
at the wall.
Oh,
This can't happen to
No,
Takaya.
not Takaya.
No, but like Kaya, her character was really like interesting because she was so innocent in a way. Like she grew up on her own, but then she interacts with all these people, and she's so kind and generous, and to be looked at in such a way by the whole town and city, it just sucked to be her as well. But overall, I really found the story fascinating. I didn't think I would, and yeah, like I guess I don't. Again, it's not an enjoyable movie. I just liked the story. I really did.
So when you say it's not an enjoyable movie, like
It's just
is it because of the content of the movie?
Yeah, it's like,
okay,
it's not
gotcha.
like, oh, the story makes me happy.
No. You could
no. Yeah,
still
yeah.
enjoy it. Like you could find enjoyment that it was a story well told, though, right? I know, but it's weird
awkward
saying like
because there are
it's hard to
especially
say that.
there's some
Yeah.
subject matter like
Yeah.
how am I enjoying this? But you're I guess.
But as a film,
Yeah.
you're
As a
enjoying-
captivated by it.
I was captivated.
Right.
100%.
I got you.
And I found it again fascinating.
Yeah, and I think that's where I'm at too. Again, like you, Anthony, I think like Shahbaz, we didn't have any background of this book going into this movie. And something that we always say whenever we're reviewing a movie that's based on a book is, at the end of the day, we're reviewing it based on the movie. The book does not matter, right? And that's where we're going into this movie. And I think this movie does a really good job of telling an interesting story. And I think Daisy Edgar-Jones is great in this, and she's really interesting to watch. I think for myself, a lot of this movie, like to what Anthony's points was, this being based on a novel, you start to feel the pacing of this, and you start to feel the writing of it feels like it's a novel, and you feel like you're straight adapting some of the language from the book, right? And I think when it comes to that, and you're telling a story in 2 hours, there's going to be moments that feel, maybe extended a lot more. There's going to be moments that feel a lot more condensed, where if you maybe compare it to the book, if you're familiar with this book, and if you are, please write into the show, you'd be like, oh, this is like those areas, those blind spots, we'll be able to patch that if you know the book. But overall, like Anthony, I was captivated throughout while watching this, and I was interested in, and I really, at the end of the day, I'm like, this actually was a really solid movie. Shay.
Yeah, I knew nothing about this movie in the sense that beyond it being a book, I had a lot of friends who had read the book, and they're like, hey, are you guys going to be reviewing this movie? And I'm like, I'm sure we will. I don't know. And then I never watched the trailer. And I wonder if that helped me because I had no expectations when it came to this movie. But I was very engaged throughout the whole film. The performances were entertaining. The story was interesting. There are slow moments. There's pacing issues sometimes. But overall, I walked out of this movie going, yeah, that was actually really good. Like, I had a good time. I liked where the story went. I liked the performances. And I would watch this again. Like, if it was on TV, I'd definitely watch it again. We all walked out of this movie and we all said, as grim of a subject matter as this movie was, we all said this is a great date movie.
It is. It is a great. It's
because there's levels to it.
There's
right?
a love story to it, and it's a movie like Shay said. There is a love story to it, and it feels like a movie that you would go on a date to watch. I mean, there's so many movies I remember in high school going to, and I'm like, why did I go watch this?
Yes.
This is like, I'm trying to think, like Charlie St. Cloud. Do you remember that one? The
Of
Zac
course,
Efron
yeah.
one, or just weird ass movies that were based on books, but like this was actually a solid movie.
This
was actually a really solid movie.
It has that romance element that we're talking about, but it also has that mystery that keeps you engaged.
Yeah.
And there's great performances. I think the movie does sometimes struggle with going back and forth between, the trial and what the story was,
Right.
and also the fact that she's still in prison. Like, there's a lot of going back and forth sometimes, and you kind of get lost in the mess of things. But overall, it's not a huge hindrance to the enjoyment of this movie.
No.
There's great performances, like I mentioned, but it's very solid. Like I had a good time watching. It's hard to go deeper into this film without spoiling it, I think.
Right.
But everyone does a great job. It's just solid.
It's a really good cast.
The time period that they also take place in, the 50s, 60s era, we've seen it done so often in movies. it felt authentic. Like I felt like I was there with them in that time.
Yeah, especially being on the marshes and just like you don't really see cars in this movie because people are just like riding boats in the water.
Yes, that's also very different.
It just felt very authentic. It felt very real, and it just felt of that time.
Yeah,
right.
But one thing it did, and I don't know if it helped this movie or maybe the reason why we liked it, was it played it safe too.
Yes,
it's very safe.
It didn't go to the extremes of storytelling or being creative with the imagery, and it just felt like this was a simple story that we
adapted straight from a novel
to the screen. How it's about 2
hours. I think 2 hours and 4 minutes around there.
So I don't believe, because after we watched it, I kind of went through Wikipedia pages and just to understand, did we miss anything, or was there anything that would have made sense? And I think
it covered all the bases.
They covered all the aspects of this book in that time frame. So I think as fans of the book, if you're a fan of the book, you will enjoy what you see on screen.
Right.
It's going to be very similar. Again, I haven't read the book, so I don't know how intense the words are in the book that create the dynamic of that time period.
Mm-hmm.
But it does play it safe. It does feel like, a Nicholas Sparks film. And
right.
I hate to compare it, but that's what it felt like.
Yeah, with maybe a little bit more, edge or just melodrama to it.
Just a bit of it. Just a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I think the biggest disservices for this movie, again, we were talking afterwards, and Anthony, you brought up a great point where you're like, maybe this would have worked really well as a series as well. And when you think of a book that really is like 5, 6, 7 hours, if you were to read it like cover to cover, you would have been able to expand on a lot more, maybe spend more time with Kaya as younger, because we get a lot of time with her, but you could have expanded that more. You would have, I think, felt more of that anticipation and that anxiety of her being, in prison for a crime that she did not commit, right? So we're like learning more about that. So this movie does jump around a lot, and we're getting like the time periods and everything. But I think by the end of it, you're like, oh, you know what? This is actually a pretty well thought out movie. Very safe, very by the book, but still enjoyable.
Yeah, and this is not a knock on the film at all, but it gave me the vibe of a movie that would have come out in like 2011 or just around that time period, where it's a straight up adaptation. It's also a very beautiful looking movie. Like the way the cinematography is, again, safe, yet it still looks really nice. Like the colors that they picked, the way that everything is captured within the lens looks really nice still.
Yeah.
They were able to show the marsh. And when you think of marsh, I always think of like swampy and muggy.
Gators.
And gators. We do see a gator though.
We do see some gators, but no one's eaten anyone.
I don't think we saw many crawdads though. That's my biggest issue with
where did they sing? We don't know.
We saw where they sang. We just didn't see.
We didn't see them sing.
We didn't see them sing. They were probably a little shy.
They're a little shy.
Yeah, they're a little shy. But like I mentioned, it was a good looking movie. It had great performances, and overall, I had a good time with it.
Definitely. Shall we get to our final recommendations?
Yeah.
Any other final thoughts? Anthony, I'm going to get you to start us off with your final recommendation for Where the Crawdads Sing.
So I would say go watch it. Yeah, it's a story I didn't expect to like, and I liked it. Like coming out of this theater, I think as three men who this book was not even in our mindset of reading. I kind of now want to go read it and kind of understand maybe more of it. But I really, really thought the story was well told. The acting was superb, and it gripped me from beginning to end.
Yeah, and I think I'm right there with you. I'm also going to say watch it. I think it's a great date movie. I think even with the subject matter, I think there's a great conversation to be had about this movie and to discuss, where it ends. And again, there's different twists and reveals in this movie that we're not going to reveal here. But I think if you're looking to go like on a date night, or if you're looking to see a matinee or catch a movie on a Tuesday, I think this is a great movie to go watch, and I think you'd have a good time with it. Shay?
Yeah, same here. I'm going to say watch it, whether you watch it at home or you watch it in theaters. It's enjoyable. It's engaging. And yeah, it gets a solid 3 date nights from us.
3 date nights. There you go. That's a new rating we're trying out here. Date night.
Date night rating.
Date night. Thank you so much for listening to the movie podcast review of Where the Crawdads Sing. Of course, if you are looking to check out this movie in theaters, it opens July 15th. And I want to say thank you so much again to our friends at Sony Pictures for inviting us to watch it. As always, you can catch a brand new episode of the Movie Podcast every single Monday, and watch out throughout the week for review episodes and interviews for movies and shows on all the latest movies and series. Please follow us at The Movie Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Letterboxd. Join our Discord and write into the show at hello@TheMoviePodcast.ca. If you're also following us on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe, ring the notification bell, and leave a comment. Let us know if you've watched this movie, or if you're planning on watching it, or if you've read the book and you want to let us know what we're missing, or if we're getting it totally wrong. We'd love to hear from you. That was This Time with the Movie Podcast, and we'll see you next.